Yolanda. Yolanda. Hey, stop all this. With the $300 coming on my account. Talk to me right now. And
I've
you
been
all
helping
lie.
Dante while he locked up for me.
Dante?
Yes.
Your ex? Your ex?
And my friend of 15 years.
Okay, so here we go. This is the story from Womenio. Womenio, I guess. Women N-I-O, whatever. And this is by Sylvia Silverstone. I mean, what kind of... Who names these people? It's like a third grader's making these names. So Sylvia Silverstone. Passport bros are leaving feminist women in their countries behind to pursue relationships with traditional wives abroad because Western women are so bad. Now, you could have just stopped with to pursue traditional wives abroad. You didn't necessarily have to throw in something we already know about Western women being so bad, but you basically understand that in today's brand of shoddy journalism, what she's doing is she's setting us up. So let's pay very close attention and watch for the subtle traps that they're going to set up. And usually they do it within the first paragraph. So let's just read carefully. So it says, passport bros, because Western women are so bad. Brett continues. And there, women in the Western world, like, you're going to all these countries, so these women don't even know how to speak English. They can't even read. They're so uneducated. Now, first of all, that's not true. That's not true at all. I've dated Chinese women in China who were working on their damn master's degree. These women are getting educated. First of all, it's so sad that they resort to these ignorant lies and stereotypes. These women are not dumb. These women are getting degrees. But anyway, you know what? Let me try to get through. Let me try to get through this. Hold on. Where's the rest of it? What the hell? It's like they got all these goddamn ads. It's like you can't even read. Look at this. They got all these freaking ads. They're everywhere. It's like, how am I supposed to read this when you got ads everywhere? It's ridiculous. I got to fast forward all the way down to the bottom of the damn page. Look at this shit. This is just tripe. Look at this. There's ads everywhere. What the hell? Wait, let me go back to the top. Something's wrong here. Something's seriously wrong here. Something's wrong here. Wait a minute. Oh, I see what they did. They made a slideshow. They didn't even write this garbage. They actually made a slideshow. This is ridiculous. It's a slideshow with ads. This is disgusting. All right, so I'll keep the auto rotation off. So this isn't even a regular article. This is disgusting, man. Come on. Okay, get past the cough syrup, Sartorius. I don't know what that is. I'm not taking that. For all I know, that shit'll stop my heart. Okay, well-spoken and traditional. And then the men, film themselves with these women. Oh, okay, I see it. And then the men, film themselves with these women and show themselves on dates. And the women are so elegant and they're so well-spoken and they're so traditional. And they're like, look at these women. Okay. Yeah, see, I got to read it like I'm a California Valley boy. Up until now, there have been no widely reported cases of passport bros marrying women, which we know is a lie because every time there's marriages, we post them. And we're whatever, from third world countries on a significant scale. Okay, so I will agree it's not on a significant scale, but you are talking a growing number. So why do you have to keep marginalizing and minimalizing what's happening? It's like, this is just sad. It's like, guys, y'all are dick policing and you're pocket watching these people. And the reality is, it's like you can try to minimalize, you can try to marginalize, but they're still doing it. They're going over there to Colombia, Brazil, Puerto Rico, Mexico, whatever it is. They're going to these countries. They're going to Thailand, Bangkok, whatever. They're going to Philippines, South Korea. They're getting these women, man. But anyway, however, considering the movement's relatively recent emergence, there is significant potential for it to gain broader acceptance and integration into society, whether in the near or distant future. Only time will tell what the future holds for this movement, with men being the primary supporters so far. Right. Okay, let's go to the next one. Wait a minute. I think that's it. What? Oh man, this is terrible, man. This is the worst browser experience I've ever expected. This is terrible. Womenio, 16 of 21 photos in the gallery, right? This is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. I thought like I was sitting down and I was gonna read. Look at this girl's teeth. Jesus Christ. It's like she's got one tooth that is afraid to come out. And it's like all her other teeth are front and center. In fact, wait a minute. It kind of looks like there's two teeth back there. And those teeth are hiding. Like they're like backstage and they're afraid to come out because they've never performed on stage before. Dear Lord Jesus. All I can say is if you wipe her up, hopefully you've got Cigna and you could sign her on to your dental plan. You could get that fixed. Because if she can cook and clean, she's worth keeping, right? All you got to do is just get those teeth right there fixed. And she's good. But yeah, this is terrible. I was expecting to sit down and read this huge article, and apparently this is all they had for me. But guys, just keep applying the pressure. We already know what's happening. These, Passport Bros has kind of fallen behind in the media a little bit because TikTok knows they lost. The dating coaches, the dating roaches, they know they've lost. We already did Passport Bros Spring Break 2023. We're gearing up for Passport Bros Summer 2023. June 23rd is when summer starts. They know they've lost. They know that their message is not resonating anymore. Nobody's signing up for this stupid programs. And it's funny because, some of these strags that have hung around my channel and they've, tried to harass people on my channel. I'm not even going to bother mentioning their names because they're not worth mentioning. But some of these strags, they've constantly said, "Hey, yeah, well, why is it that you don't become better people?" And it's like, first of all, nobody needs to improve for your sake. Like, let me repeat that. Nobody needs to change themselves or improve for your sake. You bring nothing to the table. You have nothing to offer. It's like that age-old Venn diagram about what a man brings to marriage versus what a woman brings. And when it's, when it shows in the middle what they both benefit from, most of it is what the man's bringing. But when they say, what does the woman bring? It's like there's question marks. They really have no idea. So my thing is, you're not bringing anything to the table. And on top of that, you're basically offering nothing. So the reality is nobody needs to alter themselves. Nobody needs to improve themselves. And nobody needs to measure up to you. Let me tell you the option. The option is these men are getting their passports and they're going overseas and they're finding better deals. And that's just it. And you can't take it because your egos are so inflated that you just can't take it. See, here's the secret about women. Women refuse to allow you to reject them. They believe that rejection is their power and that they control rejection. If they reject you, well, then you're just going to have to go off and cry about it and deal with it. If you reject them or if you ignore them, they go insane. Now, we've witnessed this in the criminal justice system. We've seen how some of these women have lied on men, made false allegations. We've seen how they've, what was that movie, Fatal Instinct or Fatal Attraction, where a woman like chops up a rabbit, puts it in a pot and everything, and you come in and there's a rabbit cooking in a pot. Yeah, well, these women kick out the windows on your car. They try to scratch your car. They try to flatten your tires, but, some of them don't have the arm strength in order to drive a screwdriver through your rim. But the reality is, it's like if you reject them and you don't, how should I say, if you don't receive their advances positively, then all of a sudden they lose their freaking minds. So what we're dealing with right now is we're dealing with Western women who think that they control, like, and this is one thing Kevin Samuels said, and I'm not going to talk about this too long because I've basically done this ad nauseum. Kevin Samuels said men control relationships and women control pregnancy, or, yeah, women control sex and men control relationships. That's what he basically said, right? The reality is, no. They only control sex and relationships with themselves. They don't control it with women on the outside of this country. They have no control over that. It's almost, in my opinion, I have my own theory, but it's almost as if they believe that they get to control who reproduces and who doesn't. And I'm not just talking about with them. I'm talking about with women outside of these borders. Like, they think that if they can't control you and they can't control your resources, then you don't have a right to reproduce. But we are going to get our passports and we're going to show them that they're wrong. And then, there's, oh yeah, well, you better not bring it back. You know why? Because what they're saying is, yeah, we're going to do is we're going to gang up and throw a monkey wrench in your program. Like, we're going to go to, let me think of a good name. We're going to go to, what's a good foreign girl name? We're going to go to Svetlana Lorachenko. Yeah, because, like, let's say you go over to Ukraine, you get a new wife, Svetlana Lorachenko, right? They think that what they're going to do is they're going to poison your entire game, and she's going to leave you high and dry, and she's going to take her passport and green card, and she's going to run to the nearest shelter. Guys, that's not going to happen anymore, because now with men having these constant conversations and talking about it, for the most part, that's not going to happen. It's just that simple. So they've lost. They've lost on every single level. They've lost. Keep posting the photos. Keep posting the videos. Keep having the conversations. Don't let anybody tell you can't have the conversations. If you want to talk about what it is on YouTube all the time, then that's your choice. If you want to post your summer photos, that's your choice. If you want to post your summer videos or your marriage, wedding videos abroad, that's your choice. Don't let them try to bully you out of not being able to do that. They have no power. They have no power at all. So all you got to do is hold the line, and that's it. And you've already won.
Well, first of all, why is you sending your ex $300 of my money every week, Yolanda?
He don't have nobody to help him right
That's
now.
a grown man. What the hell you mean?
Okay, and I'm his friend. If he need my help, I'm going to be there for
What do
him.
you need help with $300 a week for, Yolanda?
To survive.
Survive what?
In prison.
What the? Wait, what?
All right, so fortunately, I thought that there wasn't more, but what I did is I actually went to their website. God forgive me for doing this, but I went to their website, which probably gets almost no traffic, and I looked around, and apparently they actually did have a full article. So it says this was last modified May 29, 2023. So basically, Microsoft, they were just burying the article in a lot of ads, and I couldn't figure it out. But when you actually go to their website, they actually have the actual story. So it says, there's no doubt that the mindset of women in the Western world has undergone significant changes over time. Previously, women were often perceived as solely focused on family matters, adhering strictly to traditional values. However, the modern woman now approaches family dynamics and societal norms with different perspective. Basically she doesn't. Okay, this shifting mindset, which deviates from age-old tradition, seems to be met with disapproval by certain men. Yeah, all of them, who are increasingly opting to travel and work abroad in search of what they perceive as more authentic relationships with women from different countries. This emerging movement has been dubbed the Passport Bros. No, that's not true. The Passport Bros are black males traveling abroad. That's why we have bros in the word. And they're black men traveling abroad. Now, see, the white guys, those are called the Passport Joes. And then there are women who tried to do the same thing and realized really quickly that foreign men weren't looking for them. Those were called the Passport Hoes. Now, then there were the women who got angry, and they tried to equate the Passport Bros with human trafficking. And we have nothing to do with that at all. Those are called the transport bros. Those are called the transport bros because they transport hoes. So we have nothing to do with them. Then there's also the dudes, the game dudes, the Macs, the guys who stay here and they're like, oh, you don't need to go overseas. We got plenty of women right here, brother. All you got to do is just stay right here and you got to work on your mouthpiece. Just work on your mouthpiece. If you have a better mouthpiece, you can talk to the women here. You got a better mouthpiece. Yeah, those are called the plantation bros. So that's just one more word. Those are the plantation bros. Those are the ones who stay here and they tolerate the sloppy seconds. Now, there's one other set that we usually refer to, the stepdads. Those are called the cleanup bros. It's kind of like when you go to a party and the party's over and you get there late and they expect you to help clean up despite the fact you got there late to the party and there's a huge mess. And now they expect you to clean it up. Yeah, those are the cleanup bros. So anyway, now that we've gone through the word wall, let's go on to the rest of the story. It says, according to Urban Dictionary, passport bros are black men who actively pursue relationships with foreign wives or foreign women. Often from different countries. Well, obviously they're from different countries, obviously. They hold the belief that cultural and societal influence have shaped the behavior of Western women, and by seeking partners from abroad, they aim to discover more genuine, satisfying, and harmonious relationships. This approach is perceived as a means to restore the balance between masculine and feminine energies. What? Restore the balance between... Why do they gotta talk like this? Why do they gotta talk like this? I bet these people who write this shit, I bet that they're sitting around and they've got, you know those crystals they used to sell where they said they're magnetic crystals or something and it changes your body's aura or some nonsense. This is that kind of talk. These are the same type of people who are sitting around like talking about like they're not even Asian and they're talking about feng shui and stuff. It's like, these people are nuts. But anyway, while avoiding the perceived wickedness associated with Western women. Man, there's so many ads. Similar to advocates of the MGTOW movement, the Passport Bros community belongs to the manosphere, comprising men who perceive excessive control in a post-feminist society. They yearn for a return to what they deem an unadulterated pre-feminism era, where they distance themselves from women entirely and embrace a male supremacist lifestyle. A male supremacist lifestyle, really? Damn, you see, when I was talking about them setting traps, it's like this is one of them. I think it's obvious. Nobody said anything about male supremacy. Nobody said anything. Now, they may have said something about patriarchy, but they didn't say anything about male supremacy. They may have said something about the father being the dominant role in the household, but they didn't say anything about male supremacy. It's like, come on, really? Many self-proclaimed passport bros from Western countries, including the United States, strongly believe that women in their own countries don't make the best wives. No. First of all, they don't make wives at all. Most of these women are walking around bragging about how they're turning men down right up until they're about 40. And then they're, where are all the men at? Where are all the good men at? I've actually seen this. Like, you know, I'm not even going to really talk about it. But if you ever go out with your coworkers and your coworkers happen to be older women, as a man, it really, really makes you cringe when you hear them say, oh yeah, let's go to the bar. I hope they're going to be men there. And you're like, ugh. like that just makes you cringe. And then I think maybe somewhere in your mind there's the possibility that she might meet somebody there, get sloppy drunk, and you're expected to be the designated driver, even if you're with your own date. It just makes you cringe. Ugh. So anyway, don't make the best wives since they've been affected by the ideas of feminism. No, not affected by feminism. Infected is the word, not affected. That's AF. No. Infected, INF. Like, you know, like COVID-19 infections? Something like that. So anyway, as a result, these men are more interested in pursuing relationships with women from other countries, particularly those in third world nations. Now, let me just stop right there. The very term third world is a Cold War era definition. that was used to describe countries that signed on to communism with the USSR. It's racist in its very use, because what you're basically doing is you're saying anybody who comes from those nations, that these people are below the first world nations. So in, how should I say, politically correct lingo, they've changed third world nation to developing country. Now, developing country really actually tells the truth, because most of these countries, they have economies that are developing, but they're not third world nations. That's just racist. But anyway, let's keep going. The vision. The Passport Bros movement has expanded to the point that now exists a so-called consulting agency known as Passport Bros on Facebook. This page does not promote any gender biases officially and outlines its objective as establishing a worldwide community of passport brothers who are well-traveled, open-minded, and who have an appreciation for different cultures and lifestyles. Oh, shit. I'm not signing up for nothing. The content shared on the Facebook page indicates that Passport Bros have a keen interest in marrying women from countries like Hong Kong, Cuba, and Colombia, often highlighting the family-oriented nature of women in those places. Okay, that's fine. In one post they expressed in the U.S., we definitely have something to learn from this. A new movement. The Passport Bros phenomenon is like, look how many ads they got on this page. It's like they're trying to sell you shirts for $1.34. They're trying to sell you sundresses for $1.34 if you sign into these apps. I don't know who Timo is, but I don't trust him. Like, Timo looks so bad when you go to their site. It's like everything is like false advertising. It reminds me of Ali Direct, I think it was called. There was like this Chinese site, and like those guys, it was like they were sending you garbage that was like fake. And I don't trust any of them. But anyway, Passport Bros phenomenon is likely not a new development. As Reddit user Cutie Cat 565 points out, the mail order bride for creepy dudes isn't a new thing. Now, mail order brides, let me just say this. Mail order brides, that doesn't exist. The U.S. visa and registration for immigrants policy basically eliminates mail order brides. That would actually be considered like transport bros trafficking. Mail order brides don't exist anymore. Now, and let me just really quickly go over the K-1 process. If you are a man from America and you go overseas and you meet a wife, well, I shouldn't say a wife, but if you meet a woman there who you want to make your wife, you have to go through what's called the K-1 visa process. K-1 visa process, if you want to bring her back to America and marry her here, the K-1 visa process gives you 90 days to bring her here. If you have to apply for it, she has to get approved. But what it allows her to do is it allows her to fly here on a 90-day fiancé visa, just like the show 90 Day Fiancé, if you want to marry her here. Now, there's a lot of people who say, oh, don't bring her here, don't bring her here. And most of it's these strags on TikTok who say stuff like that. But the reality is there are some men who are going to do that simply because their family isn't going to go over there to see a marriage. So if you're going to marry her, they might want you to bring her here, whether you plan on moving back to her country or not. So a lot of specifically white men, they typically go to the Philippines or parts of Southeast Asia. They might find a wife and they bring her back to America. But, to each his own. Some people have different requirements. Some people have different needs. The 90-day fiancé visa allows her to come here, and you have to get married within 90 days of her landing. As soon as she gets here and checks in with that visa, that's when the clock starts. She has 90 days. Exactly 90 days. After that, if she's not married to you, she must leave. If she is married to you, she can have a spousal adjustment made to her visa, which now gives her the rights to actually stay here, because that 90-day visa is designed for people who plan on bringing a woman here to marry or a man here. But I really am going to specifically say bringing a woman here because these women ain't getting no men overseas. We already know the deal. So anyway, in response, another user named Rovember Baby shares their experience, stating the creepiest, stinkiest, grossest, scariest dude at my job got a mail order bride from the Philippines. Again, there's no such thing as a mail order bride. the 90-day fiance K1 visa process absolutely eliminates that possibility. There's no such thing as mail order bride. See, what they're talking about is they're trying to make it seem like you can just be pen pals with some woman from Russia or Ukraine, and she just gets to come here and meet you for the first time, and that's it. That's not how it works, and it's a stereotype to think otherwise because it's just really not the reality. Anyway, criticism surrounding mail order brides. So naturally, what do? They show a bride with her mouth wide open, like food's falling out of her mouth, and she's, oh, okay. So it says the term mail order bride is used to describe a woman who willingly advertises herself in catalogs or on websites, hoping to be selected by a man for marriage. The practice of men from first world nations. Here we go with the racist lingo again. Seeking brides from economically disadvantaged countries whom they can have control over has been widely criticized but has prevailed for several decades. These journalists write like high schoolers who are plagiarizing. That's exactly what they write like. So anyway, although many older men, sometimes referred to as boomers. Now, first of all, if you're a boomer, they're talking about a generation, the baby boomers. Now, I myself am a millennial. And a millennial, there's an age range for millennials, there's an age range for boomers, there's an age range for Generation Z. So for somebody to call you a boomer when you're actually a millennial, that's really just ignorant and stupid. And anytime somebody does that, like if I say something they don't agree with and they're like, okay, boomer, I'm very quick to point out, no, I won't say it here, but I'm a millennial. And then I even tell them what year I was born just so I can back up the point. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I say to them because I guess, I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better. So, okay. So anyway, although many older men, sometimes referred to as boomers, have engaged in such activities, the term passport bros is a relatively new concept. The rise of passport bros in Southeast Asia and beyond. Why are you showing me a white guy with like American woman in apartment? I don't understand that. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But anyway, as stated in a TikTok. Now, see, this is where. Now, I want you to notice something. They're getting their sources from TikTokers who are most likely anti-passport bros. And they're getting their resources from Redditors who are most likely anti-passport bros. Just think about that for a second. Okay, it says the comment section WBC. Passport bros are men that are so fed up with Western women because we're all, so now you know it's a woman. We're all apparently so woke and so terrible, and Western women don't want to be wives that they are now going to other countries to find wives. These men often go to countries in Southeast Asia and Philippines and the Dominican Republic. Absolutely. Now they show a picture of the white guy. We want to get out. Okay, so we got a picture of the white guy right there. Based on this definition of passport bros, this concept is the complete opposite of the mail order bride concept. First of all, the mail order bride concept does not exist anymore. It just doesn't. Even if there was a woman online advertising herself for marriage, you would still need to go through the K1 visa process. So, and then let me just say this. With the K1 visa process, you would physically have to fly to her country. You would have to take photos with her. You would have to make videos with her because she would have to meet a immigration investigator before they will grant her this K1 visa. You have to prove that you have a history with this woman. Now, obviously, this is done probably to give the man time to evaluate her properly instead of going head over heels for her. And also, this is done probably to prevent human trafficking. But again, this has nothing to do with the transport bros. They're doing this, they slow it down, and they make this process take a longer time to make sure that you don't make a mistake and marry somebody who's going to actually do a divorce on you within the first year or something. But there are stipulations within the K1 visa process to make sure that this whole idea about mail order brides does not happen. You both have to go through an interview. But anyway, you see, these people just say shit and they don't know any better. You know, it's so sad. Many of these men actively seeking to secure remote jobs that enable them to relocate and reside in foreign countries where they ultimately meet these women. Now, if you're a man and you're an expatriate or you're living in a foreign country, it's much, much easier for you to carry on a relationship with a foreign woman because you don't have to fly back and forth. For you as an expatriate, it's much, much easier to achieve the K-1 visa. So if you're living in her country and you are building up a history with her, then it's much, much easier. But the reality is there's really not much difference between meeting a foreign woman and meeting a domestic woman. The only difference is you're getting a different attitude and you're getting different family values and you're getting different values as, far as she, being a wife, So it is what it is. Women don't like it. Oh, here comes my favorite part. So we have a white woman here with her finger on her cheek as if she is a poisonous frog toad and she is squeezing out venom from her cheek. Like, I don't understand this cheek reference. I don't know what that is, but it looks like she's trying to squirt venom at you. And those poison dart frogs, if that stuff gets on you, you are going to have problems. Like some dogs, when they walk around, they end up grabbing these toads and chewing on them, and the toxins gum up the dog's mouth, and those dogs go into like cardiac arrest. So you have to be very, very careful around these toxic natural animals. You got to be very careful. So anyway, while the passport bro concept is gaining popularity among men in the Western world, it doesn't enjoy the same level of popularity among women in those regions. No shit. Actress and host Brett Cooper, who argue that women in the Western world, specifically in the United States, are so pissed off about it. Okay, thank you for that scientific analysis. Passport bros, because Western women are so bad. Okay. Brett continues. And there, women in the Western world, like, you're going to all these countries, so these women don't even know how to speak English. They can't even read. Now, do you see the racism here? Do you see the stereotypical ignorance here? You're telling me that all of these women can't read? You're telling me that these women can't even read their own language? You're telling me that these women are illiterate in Bengali and Thai and Philippine Tagalog? Are you really telling me that these women are illiterate? Really? Is that the kind of racism that we want to put out as Americans? We're putting out this ignorance, this stereotypical racism and ignorance. Is this what we're about? Can't we all just get along? But anyway, well-spoken and traditional. And then the men film themselves with these women and show themselves on dates. And the women are so elegant and they're so well-spoken and they're so traditional. And they're like, look at these women. Okay, time will tell. Up until now, there have been no widely reported cases of passport bros marrying women from third world countries, here we go again, on a significant scale. However, considering the movement's relative recent emergence, there is significant potential for it to gain broader acceptance and integration into society, whether in the near or distant future. Only time will tell what the future holds for this movement, with men being the primary supporters so far. Okay, and then they go into the ads. So basically, this is what's happening. More and more men are getting these passports, and more men are going abroad and seeking greener pastures. Now, the beauty of this is there's a lot of men who have never traveled, and when they go abroad, they see that there's more to life than what they see here. Because let me just be perfectly honest. After having lived abroad, after having lived in China, after having lived in South Korea, after having lived in the Philippines, after having visited Bangkok, Thailand, after having visited Dubai, after having visited Maldives, after having visited Seychelles, I can keep going. But the bottom line is this. a lot of Americans don't travel. And I feel bad for them because they have no other perspective except for staying right here and being plantation bros. And even if we take women out of the equation, there's just certain other things abroad that you need to see. There are different forms of policing, for example. In a lot of these other countries, there are some countries where the police are corrupt. There are some countries where the police are just like citizens with policing powers. And they're not like beating people over the head and shooting people every single day. Do you understand that we have channels on YouTube? We got police activity and we got a couple of others. But you know what? I watch those channels and I realize, like, you know, that saying that if you only have a hammer, every problem looks like a nail? They're basically snuff films. That's what we're basically watching is we're watching people getting snuffed out. In my opinion, calling the police here is like phoning in a hit if I was the Godfather. Like, it goes like this. This guy over here is mentally ill and he's non-compliant and he's swinging his fists and he's picking up pieces of bat and glass and this, that, and other. So all I got to do is call the cops and they're going to come kill him. It really feels, living here in America, that that's exactly what it is. It's like phoning in a hit. When I've been in Japan, cops don't even carry guns. They got billy clubs. And that's if they need to hit you. Now, yes, there are police at the station who do have weapons like firearms, and they get those weapons if there's a serious situation. But the average beat cop is not shooting people. It's just what it is. Even in China, they can talk as bad about China as they want. The average street cop in China, they call him Jing Cha. The average street cop is not walking around with a gun. The military police have guns. The guy who comes and gets the ATM money has a shotgun usually. But the average cop there is not shooting people. It is what it is. You go to Philippines, most of the stores have armed security. Some of those security guards may not even have bullets in their gun, but they are armed security just as a figure to say that, yeah, security exists, whether you know what's in this gun or not. I appreciate that because for the most part, it helps keep tourists safe, number one. It helped keep expats safe, number two. But the reality is the cops there, for the most part, and I know you're going to try to show me video of Philippine cops shooting people, but the reality is if you tried to compare the number of Filipino cops who shoot people to the number of Americans in any city who are shooting people dead, whether they're armed or not, I'm pretty sure you're going to be embarrassed because you're going to say, wait a minute, the number of American cops killing people is way higher. So maybe you need to experience different versions of policing. Maybe you need to go abroad to experience a detox. The food here we have is poison. Sugar is poison. Have you seen what these kids are eating every day? These kids are drinking Red Bull before school. Bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches, and because of eggs having gone up in price, they're eating grease and fat and cholesterol for breakfast every single day. The food here is toxic and poisonous, just like the rest of the environment. When you go abroad, and if you've lived abroad, one thing you may notice is you start losing weight almost automatically. Why? Because of the lack of preservatives. Because the food in most of these countries is fresher. If you go to Bangkok, Thailand, or you go to Manila, Philippines, most of these countries, especially in Southeast Asia, Brazil, Colombia, most of these countries are farms for the most part. It's mostly farmland, agrarian culture. That's part of the reason why the women make better wives, because they come from agrarian backgrounds usually. And I'm not going to say that's all cases. But my point is, maybe you need a detox. If your fruits and vegetables here have pesticides sprayed all over them, I want you to do an experiment. Take a mouse, put him in a cage, And I want you to take an apple or an orange and put that in there as food for the mouse. I guarantee you that mouse will eat everything except for the skin of that fruit. Mice, dogs, they have very, very keen senses of smell. They refuse to eat the shit that we're eating here. Hand the dog a hot dog. Give him a Frank, a Sabrett Frank. Give him a Best Franks. Give a hungry dog one of those. I guarantee the dog's going to sniff that shit and he's going to look up at you like you tried to kill him. I guarantee it, because I've tested this before. He'll eat a burger because a burger's like chopped up beef and everything. He'll usually eat a burger. Now, if you get that shitty ass burger meat from like Walmart, he might not eat it. But and don't try to feed your dog that Impossible Meat bullshit either, because that dog will look at you like he wishes he could beat the shit out of you. Don't do. So my point is, if you go abroad, maybe you get a detox. Maybe you wash your body clean because you're swimming in that cleaner water in their pools in Colombia or Dominican Republic. Maybe you're swimming in their waters. Maybe you're eating their fresh food. Ay, papi, I make you some mango. And she's making you plantains, and you're like, wait a minute, what the hell is this? And you realize, wait a minute, this is plantains. It's all mashed up and it's seasoned. And you start eating it, and you're like, man, this is kind of bland. But then you start getting used to it, and then you realize, wait a minute, I'm losing weight. Because this Dominican chick is cooking you food that is full of fiber. And you're taking shits, and they're going right through your body, and you're losing weight. And you're like, wow, I feel so much better. But see, that's the problem. You're living in a toxic environment. It was mentioned in that movie, Super Size Me. And when you leave this country, you start detoxing almost immediately. And it's crazy to think that way, but that's what it is. The sad thing is we're outsourcing the toxicity. Like, we're literally like bringing up the diabetes rates in Saudi Arabia and parts of Asia and everything. And I believe it's mostly because of the soda companies. And that's pretty much what it is. But will you see a study that says that that's what's happening? Of course you won't. Because you think Coca-Cola or Pepsi is going to let a study like that get out? Of course they're not. Do you think Coca-Cola or Pepsi, who basically have your children addicted to sugar, do you think they want a study like that out? No, of course not. Super Size Me came close to exposing the big corruption, but Super Size Me was mostly targeting McDonald's for the most part. And then Super Size Me 2 was mostly targeting chicken and sandwiches, like just chicken sandwiches like Chick-fil-A and, whoever else is making chicken sandwiches. But the bottom line is, they ain't going to let you do no goddamn study to prove what I'm saying. So I can't prove it, but all I can say is you will notice it. Go to another country for a month, and I guarantee you'll notice the difference right away. I'm so thankful for those who are getting their passports and who are traveling for the first time. Because I remember my first time, it was really terrifying. And the reason why it was so terrifying was because American TV had me convinced that if I went overseas, I was going to end up in a foreign prison. I was going to be mistreated. First country I went out of this country to was China. And when I went there, that was the first time I got my passport. And I went over there as a student. And before I went to China, I saw the movie Red Corner with Richard Gere. I was almost convinced that when I was over there, I was going to end up in a Chinese prison and I was going to be executed. But that's Hollywood for you. And they have filled your mind with lies about these other countries. It's just like The Hangover. I want you to think about that Hangover movie where they went to Thailand. Anybody who's been to Thailand knows that Hangover movie was absolutely nothing like Thailand actually is. Nothing like it. You go there and you're like, my God, this place is incredible. But it's hard to explain. It's just like Dubai. I watched that stupid shit movie, Sex and the City. That movie, if I'm not mistaken, I think they went to Abu Dhabi and Dubai, if I'm not mistaken. Because I saw the movie, but they went to the UAE, United Arab Emirates, which is, Dubai's up one block and Saudi, Abu Dhabi's down the other. It's in the opposite end. But the bottom line is, they made it seem like you go over there, you're going to get locked up just for being a regular person. Like, So I was like, you know what? There's so many lies. Like you've seen my videos. I've been back and forth to Dubai. I love Dubai, love it. But that's what it is. Your mind is toxic here. Hollywood's got you brainwashed. These companies got your blood is filled with poison, and you wonder where you got cancer from. You got prostate cancer. You wonder. You got breast cancer. You wonder how you got it. They have your body filled with poison. So when I say infected, yeah, I mean infected. I feel that you've been infected. I feel that we've been infected. Will you ever be able to cleanse the infection? Probably not. Not until you're dead. But can you detox a little? Yeah, absolutely. You need to get your passport. They don't want you. I want you to understand something. They don't want you to get your passport. Because if you get your passport and you see what's out there, chances are you might like it. And even if you did go someplace and you say, oh, I don't like it here, there's other places to go. And if you go to these other places, you might like it. You might like what you find. And they don't want that to happen. Because as far as they're concerned, you're a plantation bro, and you need to stay on the plantation. After all, what good are your resources if they can't steal them from you? What good are your resources if you go overseas and you meet somebody and you say, yeah, I want to marry her? Your resources are no good to the ones here. They don't want that happening. They want you to stay right here on the plantation like the good little slave you are. That's what they want. That's exactly what they want. So the question is that what you want to do? Do you want to stay on the plantation or do you want to leave the plantation? That's the question. So this tripe, what is this? Womenio? I have no idea who these people are. This is like the worst reading experience ever because it's like littered with ads. It's like it runs down your browser. It uses up system resources. It's disgusting. So that's all I had to say because I haven't really seen too many articles about Passport Bros. I guess TikTok gave up. I guess the Macs gave up. I guess the dating roaches, I guess they all gave up. They used to be cranking out content, anti-Passport Bros content. They used to be cranking it out like China makes flat screen televisions. But apparently that's come to an end. So there you go. That's the most recent article. Nothing new. It's almost as if somebody just found out about this yesterday, did about 5 minutes of research, and this is what they put out. So there's nothing new here. It's the same old rhetoric. It's the same old nonsense, and that's just it. So, yeah, you tell me what you think in the comments, and that's just that. So, I'll post the link to this webpage. And if you so bother to read this and be bombarded with ads, that's your choice.
I was trying to be righteous. That's what I was trying to be. I was trying to be a man of God. But I see you about my house. Yeah. Get your about my house. You ain't got nothing. You ain't got nothing. Your name ain't on nothing. Except for what? Some fingernail polish.
Men, you know when you see a beautiful woman that's out of your league and you feel scared? That feeling in your chest, it's called common sense.
To be continued.